It's the most important question every kid gets asked growing up. Who is your favorite superhero? And then you could probably flip a coin for Spider-Man or Batman. But for me as a kid, it was always Spider-Man. He was funny, he was super smart, he could climb walls, shoot webs, sense danger before it happened, and he had the hottest freaking girlfriends.
Yes, I should respond. My spider sense.
I knew you'd come, Spider.
Who are you?
Okay, well, maybe 10-year-old me didn't dig that part so much, but teenager and 20-year-old me definitely does.
I knew you'd come.
And that's kind of the point. Spider-Man has so many traits that make him every kid's favorite, but it wasn't until I became an adult that I realized why Spider-Man has such a widespread appeal. It's because just like adults, Spider-Man has to contend with responsibility. He has to make the difficult choices between working a day job and saving the day, between getting the girl and getting to be a hero. Watching Spider-Man struggle with his day-to-day is what makes his decade-spanning soap opera still so appealing to so many of us. Because he's just like me for real. It's why he's still the most popular superhero, not just in the United States, but across the world. But he's not my favorite anymore. See, after checking out the first season on Amazon Prime, I downed 144 issues of the Invincible comic series twice over, and I think it's fair to say that I and a lot of others have a new favorite superhero. Invincible was created by Robert Kirkman and Cory Walker, first appearing in Savage Dragon number 102 in 2002, before graduating to his own series in 2003 as part of Image Comics' new superhero line. The titular character of is a half-Korean, half-Viltrumite 17-year-old kid named Mark Grayson. His dad is the strongest superhero ever, in this universe at least, named Omni-Man, but he's really a bad guy because he's from another alien civilization that conquers other alien civilization. And he's there to conquer Earth, but he doesn't want to because being a papa makes him learn love and empathy, so he runs a train on his son, phrasing, calls him stupid,
You're fighting so you can watch everyone around you die! Think, Mark, think!
and leaves.
What they need to mimic a fraction.
Okay. I'm pretty sure if you clicked on this video, you know a rough outline of his origin story. But what you might not know is the origin story of his origin story. What you might not know watching the show is that Invincible was intended to be a parody of superhero comics at the time, as a way for Kirkman and Walker to make fun of superhero comic tropes, while at the same time exemplifying everything they loved about them. Kirkman started writing Invincible when he was 26, and it really shows. Not just in some of the choices at the beginning of the comic, but in the fact that Mark Grayson acts a lot like him in Kirkman's respective age. In your 20s, and I guess your early teens in Mark's case, you feel, for lack of a better word, you're just entering the workforce, where you're going to college, you have the most free time, you're the healthiest you'll ever be, the best looking you'll ever be, in the best shape you'll ever be in. Early Mark in Invincible definitely exemplifies this mindset. He's brass, running into situations with his fists first and his head later. If we're being honest here, he's that way through the whole comic, but he's headstrong and trying to do what's right, willing to fight his own dad and a government official stronger than the President of the United States, even though he stands no chance. Mark forgoes his earthly responsibilities, dropping his job as soon as he gets heat from his boss for not showing up, barely trying to make things work with his normie girlfriend, and he doesn't even bother trying to attend school.
Remember, you're not just a superhero, Mark. You're a Viltrumite. We have responsibilities that normal humans don't.
Right. Yeah.
Mark feels like and wants to be his namesake, but despite wanting and needing to be, even when Mark wins, he doesn't do it without getting his butt kicked a little bit. Well, a lot of it. People who say, oh, but in the comic, Mark doesn't get beat up as bad. He's holding back. Dude, I can't even show you pictures of this guy in the comics, otherwise I'd get demonetized. Okay, well, this video is not monetized anyways, but I think over the course of the series, Mark arguably loses more than he wins. Like this annoying blue orb says, something ain't right, and a lot of people have died due to Mark's mistake. Mark fights with villains usually end with a lot of people dying, and then Mark murdering them. This guy literally punches his problems to death, and you might think to yourself, that doesn't sound very hero-like, and well, that's because... Okay, now I get what you're thinking. Yes, Mark technically is a superhero. He can fly, punch really hard, breathe in space.
How do I breathe in space?
That's the neat thing. You don't.
somehow talk with other people with his mind in space, because you get it, superhero stuff. But just because you have powers doesn't mean you're a superhero. I don't see Homelander ending up on any greatest superhero rankings, and there's a reason for that. Morals. Also, milk. Batman doesn't use guns. Superman doesn't kill people or wear glasses. Superheroes are called capes for a reason. They stop the bad guys, put them in prison, and go home.
Okay, time's up. Now get out.
Then do the same thing the next day. They have strong moral codes that they stick to so hard, their villains easily know how to exploit them. They always try to save people and do the objective right thing in every situation. Mark Grayson does not have this same moral code. It's constantly shifting with the status quo. In issues 1 to 13, Mark, oh yeah, that guy wouldn't hurt a fly. Issues 14 to 50, Mark, unless your name is Cecil, you're probably fine. After Conquest, Mark, holy crap, keep your mouth shut, this guy will chop your fucking head off. At the end of the comic, Mark sums up his philosophy best. Being a hero is bullshit. As long as he's protecting the people he loves, that is what is right, right? Morality is overrated. Get Thraga in the body bag and not the prison cell, am I right? This is because, unlike other superheroes, Mark is not bound by the traditional tropes in morality. Just like us, he's just his own person with his own rules. And sometimes those rules lead us to make questionable decisions. Because Mark freed Dinosaurus. Mark accidentally brought the Sequids to Earth. Mark screws up Angstrom Levy's machine because he sucks at fighting. Mark abandons Eve 1,217,455 times over the course of the comic when getting lost in space in separate dimensions, even after promising her, okay, no more. We see Mark lose to Robot, Angstrom Levy, Dinosaurus. And even lose the first Viltrumite War to a certain extent. And these aren't small L's. These range from the destruction of every major city on Earth to the establishment of a totalitarian regime. We even see Mark establish one of those at the end of the series, which Kirkman confirms, yes, the future in issue 54 is the same future Mark establishes at the end of the series. So yeah, the canon ending of Invincible is the Immortal going crazy and enslaving the human population. So at this point, you're probably asking yourself, so your favorite superhero is a guy who gets his butt kicked all the time, has no moral compass, and takes world-destroying L's? Consistently? In the super controversial comic arc Reboot? Yes, I know, there's a question mark there. Mark is sent back to the beginning of the series with all his knowledge of future events. And there he is able to prevent the disaster caused by his dad and there he's able to prevent the disaster caused by his dad in Chicago, save the Guardians of the Globe, stop the Flaxen invasion, and somehow keep Rex from cheating on Eve. On the real though, how did Mark knowing the future prevent Rex from getting it on with Kate? I don't get it. I really don't. But either way, Mark is given the decision by this glowing orb thing to either go back to his family or stay in that timeline and prevent all the accidental death he's caused. We've seen this situation a million times in superhero comics before. The hero has to choose between the life they want and their responsibility. In any other series, any other superhero would choose to save all those lives, forgo their own happiness and desires, all for the good of others. But Mark doesn't even hesitate. Mark chooses to go home, to his wife, to his family, to his real responsibility. Any person, regardless of the good they would do, would always make that same decision Mark did here. Because just like you and me, Mark Grayson isn't a superhero. Mark Grayson is flawed. He doesn't make the right decision for everyone, or the decisions a superhero would make. He makes the decision the audience would make. If the leader of the Sequids is telling me that they're just going to keep coming back, yeah, I'd punch his head off too. If a bored guy that transforms into a dinosaur is telling me he can solve all the world's problems with my help, and no one else is doing anything about it, heck yeah, I'm gonna help him. Prison break time. Are all of Mark's decisions good ones that everyone can unanimously agree are the right ones? No, but that's because, like us, Mark Grayson makes mistakes. Holy crap, does this guy take L's. Like I said before, this is someone who's got as much blood on his hands as some of the worst villains. Whether that's directly his fault or not, he still always works to make it right. He works to rebuild. He pays his dues to the people he owes it to. Only leaves his pregnant girlfriend to make sure his former worst enemy isn't being viciously tortured and killed in another dimension. And yeah, despite repeatedly getting separated from them, he still tries to be the best father, the best husband he can. He tries to juggle great intergalactic, interdimensional power with just as great intergalactic, interdimensional responsibility. Does it always work out for him? Absolutely not. But the point is, when he screws up, he owns up to it. He always grows past his mistakes, and he tries to do better. Because just like us, Mark Grayson is not invincible. Mark gets his butt kicked. A lot. He loses. A lot. And sure, that makes him flawed, relatable, and easy to root for. But why would he be anyone's favorite? Well, that's because Invincible isn't about Mark Grayson. One of the last big fights in Invincible has Mark fighting final boss Thrag on the surface of the sun. This is an incredibly cool fight, by the way. Invincible is notably outmatched, kind of keeping up, but kind of getting his ass kicked, per usual. When of all things, he gets a suit from Rex, his former friend but current worst enemy. With this, he's reminded what he's fighting for. That while Thrag is fighting for the past, Invincible is fighting for the future. He's fighting for the people he loves, for the future he wants them to have. For something. Because it's the people in Mark's life that give him strength. They give him something to fight for. A reason to get up and keep fighting. Because the people we love are more than that. They help us grow, help us change, give us support when we need it. We see it with Omni-Man, we see it with the other Viltrumites, we see it with Mark trying harder and harder throughout the series to address his responsibilities. Because the truth is, when we aren't at our strongest, when we make mistakes, even though we aren't superpowered, it's the people we love that can make us feel